avoid avoid like the black plague the self-serving salesperson, man. Anyone that's pushy, that anyone that doesn't want to provide you with value or put your interest before theirs, hit the eject button immediately if you're a travel nurse. Like,
If you are a nurse that's going into travel nursing and it's your first time, you have no idea what to look for. I find the nurse recruiter relationship to be very, very important. What are some things that you could tell our viewers as a nurse to look out for a good recruiter?
for a good recruiter, yeah. So 100%. And so I guess one quick side note to that for all like new travelers, nurse, I want, like, before you even reach out to a recruiter, at least go through this kind of mental process of like, first understand, why are you traveling as a nurse, right? Why do you want to travel? Is it because it's the pandemic and you can make $8,000 a week, pay off some student loan debt? Fantastic, right? Or you're like, you know what? Hey, I just want to go to one of the hot spots and really help because it's in such, dire straits. There's a million reasons, right? Everybody travels for a different reason, right? There's some common threads, the high paying, flexible lifestyle that travel nursing offers. But first, understand why you want to travel and what's important to you, what your preferences are, because this is then going to tie into your question is like, you need to be able to communicate that and articulate that to a recruiter, right? So they can best serve you and they can best support you in your success for your next career move. So one of the biggest things to look for in a good recruiter: are they a good listener, right? Or are they a great listener? Do they actually listen to what you're telling them? And are they asking the right questions, right? Are they asking those questions of, tell me why you're interested in traveling nursing? Like what has inspired you to pursue this, right? What are going to be the most important factors for you? What are going to be the deal breakers? Outside of just like, tell me how much money you want, tell me what city you want to work in. Yes, that stuff's all very important, but dig a little deeper. And great recruiters will do that. They will ask, they'll do, 20% of the talking, 80% of the listening, right? Good recruiters. And so that would be one of the very first things I would look for if I was a nurse, right? Like, what questions are they asking? Are they listening to me? Are they able to like articulate back to me what I just told them? And that is, huge. Communication, again, which is a two-way street, but 100% is the recruiter responsive, right? Are they communicating in a timely fashion? Is their response rate is it a high velocity response rate to your communication, or when you need something urgent? Those are going to be the biggest things to look for in a good recruiter. On the flip side, avoid avoid like the black plague the self-serving salesperson, man. Anyone that's pushy, anyone that doesn't want to provide you with value or put your interest before theirs, hit the eject button immediately if you're a travel nurse, like 100%. Here's the unfortunate thing is there is more recruiters that are self-serving salespeople in our industry, unfortunately. So I'm like beyond like so empathetic to like the nurses that have a bad experience and get like kind of a little jaded by all the recruiters that they talk to that are self-serving. So again, what does a good recruiter look like? It's someone that listens, that is empathetic, that can tell you the things that you don't want to hear, right? Meaning like, I'm not going to be the best resource for you because I can't support that. Meaning I can't get you that assignment based on what you're looking for. So based on that, I would encourage you to, work with another recruiter. And again, this is the most counterintuitive advice I think in the last 10 years is like, if you're a new nurse, you should work with multiple recruiters, right? Like that's just the reality of the game. And that's what's common is, and I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this too. So flip this, we'll flip this and you guys tell me from your perspective, but it's like, typically it's like a travel nurse will have their main recruiter and then they'll have a couple, side recruiters companies. So like on average, like 3 companies, recruiters that they're communicating with on a regular basis when they're traveling. So that's another huge thing. But what are your guys' thoughts on that kind of last part? I'm curious.
Yeah, we definitely always have more than one agency that we look into, just because you know how it is. Some agencies might have the same contract, but they might not offer different pay. So the first thing that every nurse looks into is the pay.
Yeah.
Am I gonna get paid enough, and am I gonna get paid well? And then secondly, nurse usually looks at the experience. Is this a city that I want to go to? Because this paycheck's nice, but if I'm only doing 3 shifts and I'm in the middle of like Bufu, like Arizona, where it's just desert around, I'm probably not gonna
Pigs
take that.
Knuckle, Arkansas.
Yeah, something
Redding,
like that.
California.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not too far from me. But I
had to throw
I'm
that
from
one in
Chico,
there.
so it's a
Yeah, so there's always two aspects of the contract. There's always the pay and the experience. Sometimes if a nurse is just going for the pay, they're not going to really care about the experience. They just want that chunk of money, and they're going to hit the highest contract. But a lot of travel nurses aren't going there just for work. Not every nurse is going for a crisis contract. So they're only going to be working 3 or 4 days a week. So that leaves 3 or 4 days also for them on the table. So they want to also enjoy themselves. And what I like the most from my recruiters is if I'm picking a location, they know a little bit about the location. They'll tell me like a few recommendations of a restaurant to go to, maybe like where the gym is, where to go, where not to go. Because man, and I have been on both sides of the spectrum where we did one contract through an agency and they were just pushing us to sign this deal.
That was our first one.
Yes, like they were making it seem like, hey, this is the only contract out there. If you don't sign it, someone else sign it. You only got like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it was at one point when Matt and I were like shopping at a store for something. We literally hopped out of the store, hopped in a car to go over our contract with a recruiter.
She's like, you got 1 hour,
Yeah.
man. Hospital needs to know. I'm like, what the heck's
Right.
going on?
They pushed this just giant urgency and took advantage of us being first time travelers. We didn't know what the hell to do. And the money looked nice because we were getting paid more than what we were getting paid in Chicago because we are going to work in Oakland. So obviously the pay is going to be a lot different. And even though we knew later on that, hey, we kind of got screwed over because we could have got paid a lot more than what we got. And that recruiter experience is a giant factor. And now I don't always look at the money. I also look at the recruiter and how they act and how they communicate, because I'm willing to sacrifice a few $100s a week and have a good recruiter that I know is going to be on top of things and I'm going to have a good time with and be able to communicate on like a weekly basis. And I know it's going to set me up for success in the future compared to just making a few $100 extra with somebody that I don't really have full faith in.
Yeah.
If you want to watch or listen to our latest episode,
You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, or watch us on YouTube.